Welcome to Coffee to Go, where we center ourselves in the scriptures, seasons, and holy days of the Christian tradition. I'm Karen Peter. I'm here with Blake Smith, and we welcome you on the journey. So we're still in ordinary time, coming towards the end of it at this time. And it's the season of growing in our discipleship. And as we grow with Jesus, we get closer and closer to Jerusalem with Jesus and the disciples as they travel on the road towards the culmination of the ministry and message of Jesus. So this week, Jesus is walking in the borderlands, and that's both metaphoric and literal. So metaphorically, Jesus seems to reside in this border land area between established religion and the peaceful kingdom, the reign of God on earth. And literally, Jesus at times goes into areas that would be border areas where Jews and Samaritans meet, where Pharisees and tax collectors meet. We find all of these places that are borderland places where Jesus hangs out. So what's happening in this particular text, Blake?
All right. Well, we are in the 17th chapter of Luke again today, and our verses are the 11th through the 19th verse. On the way to Jerusalem, Jesus was going through the region between Samaria and Galilee. As he entered a village, 10 with a skin disease approached him. Keeping their distance, they called out, saying, "Jesus, Master, have mercy on us." When he saw them, he said to them, "Go and show yourselves to the priests." And as they went, they were made clean. Then one of them, when he saw that he was healed, turned back, praising God with a loud voice. He prostrated himself at Jesus' feet and thanked him. And he was a Samaritan. Then Jesus asked, "Were not 10 made clean? So where are the other 9? Did none of them return to give glory to God except this foreigner?" Then he said to him, "Get up and go on your way. Your faith has made you well." So why does this matter? Well, I want to start by saying that, and I'm guilty of this, I'll just admit it up front, not recently, but certainly in the past, having taken this passage and focused on the faithfulness of the one and being critical of the 9 who didn't come back. And this is all about giving praise to God and recognizing your blessings. And that's not really what this is about. It really doesn't say that the other 9 weren't thankful or whatever. They did what Jesus told them. They went to the priests. And of course, if you've been living in isolation and desperation because being, and we call them lepers, the passage says with the 10 with a skin disease, but they were unclean. They weren't allowed to be around other people. First thing they want to go do is go and celebrate with their family and be back in connection with those who are their community. So just a different way to look at that. And I really don't think now, as I have studied more, that this has really anything to do with the 9 that didn't come back. What's important here, and first let me say, last week we talked about having sufficient faith, that what we have is enough and we need to get on with it. But this week is really a clear demonstration. It's the next passage in this chapter, and it's a real demonstration by Jesus of what that looks like to do things with what you have. But the other piece that's really important here is this emphasis on the one who returned. Well, first of all, the 10 who came were not necessarily from, it doesn't say that they're all Samaritans. We know that one is, but they're not in the inner circle. These are outcasts. These are people on the margins. And even when those who walk along with Jesus don't really know Jesus' true identity as the Son of God, here are these people calling out Jesus, Master. So that use of the term master is significant. These are people on the outside, people who are considered other, that are lifting up Jesus for who he is, who recognize Jesus for who he is. And then Jesus, again, with the one, points out that of all people, he's a Samaritan. He's a foreigner. He is the ultimate other in the Jewish community. Not only a Samaritan, but one who was afflicted with the skin disease, so unclean and outcast. He recognizes Christ, and he comes and gives praise and worship to God. And when Jesus says, and this is another piece of the passage, I think that I should say, maybe I should just claim it myself. Something that when he says, get up and go on your way, your faith has made you well. I think part of the reason why we go to, that's the important piece, the one who came, is that it was his come and kneeling at the feet of Jesus that made him well. But the reality is they were all made well when they turned toward the priests.
Exactly.
The other 9, it wasn't that. He was already made well. And Jesus tells him, it's your faith that made you well. It's that even a small amount of faith that can accomplish great things. So
I agree with you that we focus on some things in here that are easier. They're like right on the surface that we can kind of skim off and go, oh, that's the point of this. But there are so many deeper kind of analogies here. And one that struck me when you were reading, Blake, is the 9 and 1, the 10, because that's a tithe. And it's almost like it's this demonstration of, yes, you are going to give and give and give, but you will also receive something back. But what you're going to receive is the tithe of your giving. Or we talk about grace and generosity in how God's grace blesses us and we give generously in return, and we're called to give 1/10. Well, that's exactly what Jesus got back. He got 1/10 of what he gave back. And so it never really hit me until you were sharing that. The other thing is that the whole foreigner piece, when he says, where are the other 9? They didn't come back. To me, I see Jesus looking at his disciples and go, where are the other 9 people? Oh, they didn't come back. Only this foreigner did. It's like Jesus raises an eyebrow, right? He's got that one eyebrow going, only the foreigner did. What does that say to you, people? It's almost like this overt lesson on who deserves grace.
Yeah. Here's another piece with the foreigner, and so many things we could go off in so many different ways, not knowing what the other 9 were, but this foreigner who comes, one of the things that captures me, and Nancy Westfield, who is a commentary writer that I actually mentioned last week as well, she says about this that we are to share mercy with outsiders without asking them to assimilate to our ways or melt their differences into our pots. Yeah. Jesus doesn't look at the 10 and go, okay, let me see your immigration card and let me see your membership card, and are you circumcised? Do you fit all the categories and check all the boxes? If so, then I will grant you mercy. It was God's mercy is for everyone. Yeah. And they don't have to do anything to be like us to get it. Or to be like Jesus, I should say. Be like us, because I'm not sure that I'm always like Jesus, but that is the goal anyway. So we also see here how faith and mercy are not limited by human boundaries. So anyone can have faith, anyone can act in faith, anyone can call out to Jesus, anyone can receive healing, anyone, anywhere, anytime. Yeah. That's the promise that we have. So some questions we might ask ourselves this week are, am I willing to cross social boundaries on behalf of others? Jesus certainly did that. To whom do I need to show mercy? One of the ways...
My vengeful nature just did an out with that. Probably everybody. Probably I need the mercy more than anybody else.
Yeah, another thing that Nancy did in her commentary on this piece, she asked the question, who are the lepers and Samaritans of the 21st century?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, or even just in your life, in your circle of influence. And that might be a place to start with where to show mercy. Finally, from what have I been healed or reconciled? And did I give thanks? Was I the 1/10, or did I just kind of take it for granted and move on?
All good questions to think about this week. So I think for our experience, we're going to take one of the first questions about stepping across social, or even in our day and age, political boundaries. And that's hard. It's hard to have conversations with people who think or act or appear different than oneself unless you are intentional. So we're going to be intentional this week about our own hesitancy to cross boundaries. So if you are unsure about all the fuss over trans rights, try using the all-gender restrooms and see how that works for you, and see if that alleviates some of the anxiety or concern that you have on that issue. Are you harboring some latent racial bias that you're willing to admit to at this point? As a white woman raised in a white town in a white part of the Pacific Northwest, it was very disappointing to discover in myself I had latent racial bias. So if you do, write a check or get on Venmo and donate to the United Negro College Fund and cross a boundary somewhere with that. Start getting their promotional materials. If you're unsure on how to advocate for the poor, then contribute to some places like the Southern Poverty Law Center or United Way or other agencies. If you're worried your neighbors are homophobic, then fly a pride flag and announce that you're a borderlander. You're walking in that border where everybody's loved. Whatever it is, select a boundary that you continue to observe in your life that needs to be crossed, and cross it. Figure out what that looks like for you and do it.
Well, Karen, I have to say you have officially stepped on my toes today. So congratulate yourself. You've done a great job. So just the piece on your last thing when neighbors are homophobic and fly a pride flag. I don't know specifically about that. I do know some of my neighbors to know well enough that because of some things that they put in their yard, advocating for certain candidates and other things. And I've thought about putting a sign in my yard, hate has no place here,
Right.
Something like that. And I have rationalized. I'm just going to use that word because there's no more pastoral word to comfort my inaction other than to say I've rationalized. Well, I don't want to start a fight. I want to be able to continue to have conversation with them, and maybe I need to be more outspoken through that. Some kind of visible piece that expresses who I'm advocating for. So.
Yeah. Well, I didn't mean to step on your toes, but I do.
They will recover.
I do think it's important for us to cross the boundaries that we've established in our own lives and figure out what that looks like for us.
Yeah. I don't disagree. I'm just like,
it's just one. I know.
Now I've been called out without you even knowing it.
You can call me out in the next episode. We do have a short blessing, though, for this one.
We have a very short blessing. It is from Meister Eckhart. If the only prayer you said was thank you, that would be enough. And that's it. And that's also it for this week at Coffee to Go. Thanks for joining us here today. We invite you to join us next time for the next part of our journey through the liturgical seasons and holy days of the Christian tradition.